So takeaways, learning the importance of the front desk and best practices and reviewing those practices in detail, okay? There's always room for improvement at the front desk and every part of the practice, but we're just gonna focus on the front desk. So here's our goals for the session. Great customer service, generating clean claims. Like one of the key things here, generating clean claims. Increasing time of service payments, okay? You gotta get a front desk that's not afraid to ask for money, right? Reduce the amount of collections after the visit. That comes from the first two. And keeping them busy, okay? I hear Lynne's been to lots of practices where the front desk says they're busy all the time, and they're not. There's always downtime at the front desk, right? I went to the pediatrician once. All right, so here's a question I started asking during the Lynne started asking, wow, that's tough. Started asking during the pandemic. Are you guys still using your waiting area? Are you still using that reception area? What have you done with it? Because I know we have clients that never went back to using it. So I'm curious, I'm gonna ask this every year because I'm curious. So 85% of you went back, 88. Oh, I have to count how many of you there are so I know how many responses we want. We had up to 26 responses, 28 responses. So most of you have gone back to using it, repurposed the space. Sometimes you use it. So I'm curious about the sometimes you use it. Does anyone want to explain how that, do we have a mic over here? Jerry, you want to run my mic around for me? You're the best, Jerry. Jerry's going to do it. Because Sabina's doing double duty right now.
Will the patients, they can use it if they want to, but if it's like too cold or hot or something, they can check in from the car and do stuff, and then the nurse will just like send them a text like, your room's ready, and then they'll just walk in. So
Cool.
It's kind of just whatever they want to do.
Yeah, we have a practice that we went to do the go live, and that's what they did for everyone. They're like, okay, check in over the phone, and when your room's ready, you're gonna come in and go right to the room. So they tell them what room number to go to. Cool. So for those of you that repurposed it, right? You guys got used to not having it. Customer service, keeping your front desk neat and tidy. I don't like front desks where they have glass and they have papers all over the glass, okay? That's just a barrier. The glass, it's bad enough we had to go back to glass because of the pandemic and plexiglass because of the pandemic. Okay, don't fill it with paper. You don't want a barrier between you and the parents, okay? Keep it clean. If you have, yeah, I already said it. I'm not even gonna read that. Greet your patients immediately. This is a pet peeve of mine when I go to a practice and the front desk is too busy to answering the phones to actually greet the people that are in front of them, okay? You wanna greet the people in front of you because they're there. Okay, I know it's not nice to put people on hold, but they're there. They're the ones you want money from right now, right? So greet them immediately. Work with each other as a team to make sure things are happening. If you can't answer the phone, maybe somebody else is picking it up. Or have one person, now this is tough in their small practices where you only have one person at the front desk, but have one person that's dedicated to greeting people and somebody else answering the phone, okay? If possible. I had somebody ask me to change this from the perspective of a single provider, very small practice, but the reality is when you're a tiny practice, some of this stuff is not going to work for you. But I'll explain to you how you're gonna fix that. So some of my favorite desks, These are a couple of these are old. That's Eden Park Pediatrics, that's Tamalpais Pediatrics, and that's Bloom Pediatrics' new office. I like the open. I'm just keep it clean. And that means after you start using the office, don't have stacks of papers. Luckily, you probably don't have charts, right? So you don't have stacks of charts that are taking up too much space. All right, now go forward. Thank you. Who answers the phones? Here's another Slido. Who answers the phones? Uh-oh, Brian's coming. What does that mean? Something's wrong. Something's wrong. That's okay, Brian. It's giving them time to do the Slido. Dun, dun, dun. Got 29. We're up to 31. I don't know how many people are in here. Oh, camera. Are you going to try to follow me? I'm on that camera? Damn it. All right. Wow, we're up to 42. We have that many people here? Cool. All right. So the front desk, I just told you my personal opinion on that. The phone system, I like that. Everyone and triage. So the phone system I like, right? Because let them figure out how to get to the phone system, okay? So my thing is move the triage. Your front desk should not be triaging appointments if you have somebody that can triage appointments, right? Unless you got MAs at your front desk that are experienced. If you just have someone that's fresh out of high school working the front desk, how are they going to triage and schedule the appropriate appointment, okay? You want your front desk to focus on verifying the information that's important. This is all the clean claim stuff I was talking about at the very beginning, right? Demographics, insurance, and collecting money. That is the prime duty of your front desk. Being the person that smiles and people are happy to give them money. If you can find someone at the front desk that is your parents' favorite person and they can collect money from your parents, make sure you keep them, because there are a lot of front desk people that are afraid to ask for money, okay? You got to find someone that's not afraid of doing that. All right. Use your phone system. I'm a big fan of phone systems, but keep it simple, right? Don't make it a bank system where you have to go through 3 levels to get to where you want to go, okay? 1 appointments, 2 referrals, 3 billing, 4 triage nurse, okay? I've called some offices where you literally have to hit 3 buttons before you get to where you want to go, and I don't like that. Keep it simple. Because if it's not simple, your parents are going to hang up, right? We're very much a instant gratification system, people. Headphones. How many of you guys using cordless headphones? Right? Did you get pushback from your staff? Yes, no, maybe? Okay. We use them at PCC. I love my cordless headphone because we used to use corded headphones, and I can't tell you how many times I, wrenched my neck walking away from my desk because I was still plugged in. Okay. They're not cheap. Cordless headphones, they have different styles. You get the headband, you got the over the ear, you got the behind the neck. So if your staff doesn't like them, find out why and work with them. But that allows them to move around through the office. Maybe they have to step over and scan something over here because the scanner's not right in front of them. So think about it. I don't know how much they cost anymore because I don't buy them anymore, but I know they're not cheap, but I get it. But don't buy the cheap ones either. Spend the money, get good ones that are going to work. I've had mine for, God, I've been back in Vermont for 6 years now, and I bought it many years before then. So they can last a long time as long as you're taking care of them. Answering phones. I'm going to tell you guys something so this is, pediatric associates, please hold, click, okay? You guys are getting so much better at not doing that. I'm so happy. You're actually, waiting, and you should wait for them to say something, but thank you for calling Pediatric Associates. This is Lynn, or Captain Config. How may I help you? Okay? They have a choice of going to any pediatric office. Thank them. Okay? Let them know that they're important to you. They're not just another number. They're not just a dollar bill. Thank them for choosing your practice. Let them know who they're talking to. Okay? And just offer to help. Do not instantly put them on hold, okay? If they have to give, maybe it's a 2-minute discussion of what's going on, and then you need to put them on hold, but don't do the instant hold thing, okay? Nobody wants to be put on hold as soon as they call somebody. Give them a little bit of attention. Discuss significant private billing issues in private. Okay? Don't be, it's all HIPAA. It's all privacy. Be careful what you're discussing at the front desk. Okay? Not only billing, but discussing other families. I cannot tell you the times I have heard inappropriate discussions at the front desk, and it's not just the front desk. I've heard providers do it. Okay? Be careful what you're saying. If you have a reception area with people up front and you're not being careful, they're going to hear what you're saying. Okay? And you shouldn't be doing it anyway, right? You shouldn't be bad-mouthing a parent or complaining about a parent. It's your paycheck. You got to keep the patients coming in. You got to be nice to them so you get paid so you still can work there. So just make sure your staff, and if you're an office manager, FYI, or a front desk manager, you can tell your staff things, but the best way to know what's going on is to casually walk by the front desk while they're taking a phone call or while they're checking somebody in and see what they're doing or what they're saying. Okay? I have clients say, oh, my front staff always does this way. But the reality is they do it that way for a little while and then they go back to bad habits potentially. So you always want to make sure that things are happening the way they should be, right? The way you want them to be. You're like, I want my front desk to do this. You can train them to do this, but you got to continue training and continue reinforcing that. It takes a while for something to become a habit that they do all the time, okay? Best practices don't become best practices all by themselves. It takes work to make sure you're implementing best practices. All right. What happens before the visit? So you can read this. It basically is saying what the last sentence says. The front end functions drive the revenue cycle. If your front desk is not getting demographics updated properly, is not putting in insurance company information, is not collecting copays, that's more work on the back end, right? That means your billers have to do it. You don't want your billers doing this. Everything should be perfect so that front desk is doing it all and the billers, there's always this, I don't want to say rivalry, but the billers and the front desk, they gotta be a team. Okay, we'll talk about that more. And the billers are very quick to blame the front desk for not doing their job, but that means that you just need to train your front desk. Okay. So what happens before the patient arrives? Hopefully you guys know this, right? You schedule, you verify the appointment, you do eligibility, and hopefully somewhere amongst this, billing department prep has happened. But I want to go to number 3. I'm going to skip to that because 10.0 came out. How many of you guys are checking eligibility when you schedule? Yes. I was so happy when they finally did that. If you're not checking eligibility when you're on that schedule, it got added automatically, right? Another thing I was happy about, because sometimes they don't add new functionality into a screen, but when you go, if you're not getting the patient details screen, when you go to schedule an appointment, consider turning it back on, because that will tell you whether or not their insurance is eligible, okay? So before they come in, you can know that they need to bring their new insurance card because their insurance isn't eligible, all right? So patient eligibility, we'll look at it. It's going to be here. Oh, yeah, look at it. There it is. So now we have insurance eligibility. Thank you, Michael, because Michael's part of that team and did the design. So, yeah, you can now see this. It's like one of my favorite things that Get Paid has done that I see from the implementation perspective, right? Again, this is the patient detail screen. It can be turned off. Please don't. If you've turned it off, turn it back on. I know it's annoying, but it's there for a reason, and that reason is to get out clean claims and make sure they know they have an appointment and check your insurance. Just turn it back on if you've turned it off. And if you haven't turned it off, it can't be turned off. Okay, we'll just say that. All right, so here's all the things, the patient details. You can review their current and past appointments. You ever have a situation where parent 1 calls and says, I need to bring Johnny in because he's sick, and you schedule an appointment and parent 2 calls an hour later with the same request? Okay, or mom calls to say, hey, I need to schedule Johnny's well visit. Okay, that screen right there tells you whether or not they have, my pointer's not working, tells you not whether or not they already have a well visit. Okay, so mom might be calling to schedule a well visit that's already scheduled. This allows you to see it's already scheduled, and maybe mom needs to reschedule it. Okay, verify or update demographics. And then we have the insurance eligibility and reviewing the copay and personal balances. Anytime you are speaking to a parent and they have a balance, you should be reminding them they have a balance and it is due when they come in. Or if you got portal payments set up, have them go into the portal and make a payment, right? If you guys aren't, you gotta leverage the portal. It's something we do with all the new clients. We want them to leverage the portal. Make them pay online. Automatically gets posted to the system if you set it up properly, okay? And then you're getting your money a little easier. It's also contactless. If they're like, oh, remember the whole COVID thing? I don't want anyone to touch my credit card. This is how you get them to not, people don't touch your credit card. Pay in the portal, okay? But if they have money due, ask them for it every time. And that includes when you're scheduling, when you're checking them in, when you're checking them out, all the time. Whoa, skipped ahead. Hold on, let me make sure. I don't know how I skipped 3 slides. New patient process. I feel like this should have been a Slido. So how many people collect the basics of information for new patients over the phone? Okay. How many people get everything? Okay. I have a couple practices that have a dedicated person who adds every new patient and schedules their first appointment to make sure they're scheduling it properly. That's not possible in every practice, right? Not possible, but if you're collecting insurance information over the phone, pre-check-in, my other new favorite thing. How many people here are not using pre-check-in? Go ahead, you can admit it, okay? They can scan, take pictures of their insurance card and send it to you. Who's using it? Okay, do you regret using it? Best thing ever. Okay, we'll talk about it more in a minute. I actually have a Slido about it. Anyway, so use the patient details to edit the policy. So that patient detail screen, it's got an edit button on it. So while you're scheduling, you can actually update information. So while you're scheduling, if you don't have a portal user linked to the billing account, do it, because that means when you got pre-check-in turned on, they'll get notification, okay? So get things set up. I'm gonna harp on patient pre-check-in, I'm not gonna lie. All right, and always remind them to bring their insurance card and then their copay. Bring your copay, bring your copay, bring your copay. Your copay is $15. Please make sure to bring your copay, okay? Because you know how they are, right? They're gonna forget their copay. Just keep reminding them. Appointment verification. So there are so many ways to do appointment verification. So how many people use Notify through PCC? How many people use a third party? It's fine. How many people do manual appointment reminders? Still people? I'm okay with that. Do them, okay? But meet your parents where they are. Because if you're, I gotta see if somebody's in because I use a story about a client. So I had a client, they did a survey to find out how parents wanted reminders, and the parents said, we want texts. And the office manager went to the providers and said, they want texts. And the provider said, we think phone calls are better. I'm like, So they did not do text, they did phone calls. Okay? Be where your parents are. And let's face it, parents are getting younger and younger, right? And what does this younger generation do? They're stuck on their phones. They don't want a phone call, they want a text. So be where you are. You can do texting in our system. Frequent no-shows. Call them the day before, the day of. So Chip did a a blog post a few years ago about no-shows, where the only thing that indicated whether or not somebody would no-show was if they no-showed in the past. All right? When you know it, flag them. Have a report that shows you anyone that's a repeat offender and call them. And I had a client say, well, you could call them the day before and they still don't show up. I'm like, good, call them an hour before. Whatever you need to do to remind those. And it's not going to be 90% of your patients, right? You're not going to be doing it for everybody. You just need to do it for those frequent ones. Use SendText in the EHR. How many, you guys all using SendText in the EHR? Doesn't cost you anything. We have some startups, that's what we tell them. You know, yep, maybe you don't want to do notify yet. Use SendText. Go to the schedule, click on the patient, hit SendText, and text them a reminder. All right, what are you going to verify during reminder calls? And some of this happens automatically if you're using Notify, the date, the time, the location, and why they're coming in. Okay? If you're doing manual reminders, insurance card, copay, the insurance plan, sorry, the subscribe. If you're doing a manual reminder, you might as well try to get everything out of them, right? Make sure they're bringing all the information you need. All right. Their copay, their balances, and again, they can pay in the portal. And patient pre-check-in. So in 2.0, wow. 10.0, we added the ability for parents doing pre-check-in to pay previous personal balances. Okay? And we'll automatically link to those oldest balances. Right? Any questions so far? I'm like, yes. Does the pre-check-in include CHADIS questionnaires? It does not. So what happens, and I'm like, what do I talk about pre-check-in? It must be coming soon. We'll get to it, but if you're doing CHADIS and pre-check-in, they will get a reminder 7 days out about their CHADIS questionnaires. Pre-check-in goes live 7 days out, because if you're using CHADIS and your parents are going to do CHADIS, they have the ability to check in at the same time. They get a notification 2 days out to remind them to do pre-check-in, but it doesn't include the CHADIS questionnaires. Oh, another question.
I didn't see, but on the insurance verification that now we don't need an appointment,
Yes.
I didn't see, unless I missed it, where it would indicate what's the PCP, because that's our biggest challenge in our office, because we're a huge Medicaid provider.
Yeah.
And so the PCP is important. Yes, you have insurance.
Yes, it is.
Active.
Yes, it is.
But we may not be your provider.
Correct. That is correct. When you're scheduling, and I don't know off the top, Sabine, do you have the answer to that, or do you have another question? Another question. I actually don't know the answer to that, so one of my buddies is going to write it down, and we're going to figure it out.
Because that's going to be key for our office.
If you're high Medicaid, exactly. High Medicaid, you need to see that PCP. And if it's not showing it, you know, we talk to our get paid people and say, hey, we're missing something, and see if they can add it for us. Because, yeah. You're doing the full report.
But you have to have an appointment to see that.
Yes.
So, yeah, so what we do is, when we schedule, well, we don't schedule the appointment, and we'll verify the insurance first, and if they have the wrong PCP, we give them the information to call the change PCP, and then we'll have them call us back to make an appointment. Because we're heavily Medicaid office, sorry. And same way, we go on the website.
Oh, you're doing it on the website.
Yes, we go through that, we check the insurance. If we're not assigned on their plan, we give them information to call to change
Okay.
PCP. And then what we ask the parents to call us back with, so that we know that they made the change, name of the rep that they speak to, effective date of the change, and a confirmation number for that call. And then, because they'll say they do, and then they won't, and then it prolongs the visit for that day. But also, on the day of the visit, we check insurance day before and on the day. Yes.
So you see that little card that says insurance eligibility?
Yeah.
For those of us who need
Yes.
I'm sure somebody at PCC
Yes.
is writing down that note right now. Or at least you need a flippy triangle, right? You need that flippy triangle for the full report.
Yeah, that helps
Yeah.
a lot, yeah.
Yep, awesome. Thank you. Sabina had a question. She's like, I gotta run back over.
Does pre-check-in include copays?
So technically the answer is no. So and I haven't found out the details of this. You can pay past due balances through pre-check-in, but somehow they're not allowing copays through pre-check-in. And I think part of the reason is you think you know why they're coming in, but copays are linked to what? CPT codes, right? How do you know what CPT code you're going to do until you actually see them? Okay, so I don't know if that's what it is. I think they're doing a little more research into the copay, but I'm going to tell you this. The portal allows them to post any payment you want because the portal doesn't limit it. So even if it doesn't happen in pre-check-in, guess what? They don't have to have a balance to post a payment in the portal. Okay, I found that out when I was so excited. I was like, yes. So yes, you can do that. So hopefully you guys know how eligibility works. It runs every morning for today and tomorrow's appointments, right? And it shows you who's active, who's inactive, and who's undetermined. Undetermined means, I don't know what this insurance company sent us, but we can't parse it, okay, to show you anything. Inactive obviously means fix it, right? Okay, mark it as inactive or rerun eligibility. Active means it's active, but what does it not mean? It doesn't mean you have the right copay, right? So check it and make sure you have the copay correct and update your policy. And you can do that all through the eligibility screen, okay? You don't have to get out of eligibility. There's an edit button when you're in eligibility so you can update the policies. Change the copay to the correct copay before they come in the office. All of this is, if you fix things before they come in the office, that clears up your front desk to do more important things than checking everyone in and getting behind because they're checking everyone in, right? The idea behind some of this stuff before visit is so the check-in is a lot smoother. And for some of you big practices, you got a lot of people going through that front desk. All right, use the notes for the front desk. There is a notes field for the eligibility, use it. Oh, somebody's already answering questions. Cool, so here's the next one. If you haven't answered this question, I have 7 people that already answered, you tricky kids. Are you using patient pre-check-in? It's that third line that I'm worried about. Patient what now? Nobody, at least nobody's picked patient what now? Everyone knows about pre-check-in, right? So everyone knows that it exists? Good, good. All right, what do we got? 33 people, 35 people? So 61% of you are not using the patient pre-check-in. At least you get 2%. That means there's probably a couple people or at least one person not using the portal. Okay? Use the portal. If you're not using the portal, use the portal. Okay? You can limit what they have access to on the portal, but the portal is, we are putting a lot of functionality into the portal to make your lives easier by giving parents access to the information on the portal. So if you're not using the portal, you're not making your life easier. Yes? Whoa, hold on. We got to bring the mic.
The only issue that we have with our getting our parents to sign up for the portal is that email that they get with that temporary password is only in English.
Okay, so first off, send them a text. Have them sign up with phone numbers. Mm-hmm. Signing up with email to me, again, where are your parents at? Do they use email or do they use texting more? But yes, it is going to come across in English. That is a problem. You can always, so send text exists, right? Mm-hmm. Create a snap text to send them a text with a follow-up that's in Spanish, Chinese, Mandarin, whatever you need.
Yeah.
So you can send messages to clients and to your parents in other languages. We have clients that are using Mandarin and Korean in the patient portal and on texting.
You can change the language in the portal?
You can, so the portal itself by default is in English, but when they do a portal message back and forth, they're using the language of that parent. So what I'm saying is the portal, when you're signing them up, it comes in English. You send
the
text
email.
to send them a message that's not in English.
Say it again?
Have a snap text ready to go
Okay.
that sends them a message that basically reiterates what was in that message that the portal sends automatically. So they get a text saying, log in here, use this password. Follow it up with a send text that does it in their own language. Or if you're adding them in front of you, explain to them what it says.
Well, yeah, we
Yeah.
do that, but that just takes more time.
It is going to take
And
more
then I
time.
would
Believe
have
me,
a line and,
Jerry was sitting between two women that spoke Mandarin at a client go live, and they had to do a lot of, they got the portal thing, and they had to do a lot of explaining of what that text message meant. I get it. Right now, we do not have the option to send it in different languages.
yeah.
So that's the best option I have, is either explain it to them or follow up with a send text that's in their language. Yes. Just toss it to them, Sabina. Here, catch.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
So it's just piggybacking off of that last conversation. So the snap text, you said we could change it into different languages. How can we do so? Because when I write a snap text, it doesn't give me the option to change.
Well, it doesn't give you that option.
So
You
we
just
have
write
to-
in a different language.
Well, I don't know how to write in Korean. So
Right.
how am I gonna?
You
have that?
won't. If you don't have someone in your office that knows the language, this is not going to work.
Okay, so
Okay?
I thought you had it.
Because
in the
Google
system.
Translate is not a good option.
Got it.
Okay, but these are practices that are very heavy Korean, heavy Mandarin, so they have staff
Got it.
that knows the language. So if you have a heavy population in your practice of a different language other than English, your staff should probably have somebody, you should probably have somebody on staff that speaks that language. Oh, translation service, yeah.
So it's a, I forget what it's called, but they don't do texting. It's on their agenda to do texting, but you call this number, you say what language you need, they put you through to a service, and they charge you just by the minute that you're on. And so we do it at check-in, we do it at scheduling, we do it when the nurse is in with them, and then the provider does it, and then you just get charged for that whole visit. It's honestly not that expensive, and it's really convenient. And they do like 100 different languages. I'll text and figure out what the company's called. I'm drawing a blank, but yeah, it sounds good.
Okay, quick question for those of you who aren't doing patient pre-check-in. What's stopping you? I don't have a question for that, I don't think. I don't. I'm so sad. What's stopping you from using pre-check-in? Hold on, Sabina's coming. Sabina's like, I was just over there.
It's just one word. It's basically just a chattis, because basically my front desk is taking all of the demographic stuff and insurance eligibility. So just that chattis is a real struggle for our office, especially with the teenagers not getting it done. So that's the major reason. If that had included with the pre-check-in, I would.
So I don't understand how pre-check-in is stopping you when you're already using chattis.
So they're not getting chatted. So like if you do the pre-check-in and they're not allowing you to go forth through the pre-check-in until you get the chattis questionnaire.
So when they get a pre-check-in notification, they go to the portal.
Right.
Once they're in the portal, they're going to see the chattis forms.
They're going to see
there.
it, but they're going to glance over it and continue. They're not going to stop.
That's
to
a
do
training
it.
issue. You're never going to get that. Yeah, it's hard, especially with the older kids that
So
don't
if there
have
was
their
a
own
way that
portal.
we could put a stop to them on not going forth without doing the until they do their chattis questionnaires, that will help out at least my office.
So I have clients using chattis using pre-check-in, and I don't think, is anyone else using chattis and pre-check-in? Do you guys have an issue with the?
Pre-check-in, it's just that the language barrier.
Right. Nathan, way over there. Oh, hold on. We're gonna get someone else. At least I think it's Nathan. I don't have my glasses on.
Yeah, so we do both. We do pre-check-in and Chattis. We've done Chattis for, I don't know, a number of years. But so when an appointment is scheduled, so they're going to get the Chattis notification 7 days prior to that visit. They can get the pre-check-in 7 days prior as well. So when they get that alert on their portal that Chattis is ready, they can do both at the same time. And then Chattis is going to remind them again, I think, at 3 days, and I think pre-check-in is in that same time frame. So they're getting both those 2 days. So they're getting both those at the same time. And just as far as the older kiddos, as far as, you know, you don't want mom to fill out the PHQ or whatever it is because you want the child to do it. If we see an issue there, we'll continue to do a paper copy of those if we have a problem. But yeah, I think pre-check-in has actually probably increased our Chattis completion on the portal, not the other way around.
You're getting 3 notifications. You're getting the 7-day notification from Chattis, you're getting the 3-day notification from Chattis, and you're getting the 2-day notification from PCC. And if you're doing notify, you can change your notify to say, hey, do patient pre-check-in in the portal. Okay? So there's lots of opportunities to let them know. But again, I don't know of anyone, and nobody here said they regret using pre-check-in, okay? If you don't have a high portal usage, I get it, but if 20% of your parents are doing pre-check-in, that's 20 minutes a day minimum that you're saving, right? So get them on the portal. The portal user linked to the billing account is the one that does the pre-check-in. That is tricky, because the billing account is not always the person who's going to do pre-check-in, okay? We train the new clients that the person who's the billing account should be the person signing the financial policy, because they're the ones that are probably bringing them in, and you can add the other parent either as the home account or you can add them as a personal contact. So there are options. Don't go and changing your entire setup of how you do things, okay? So we are looking into the future to figure out how to do accounts better, because the way we do accounts and the way we originally did accounts 35 years ago doesn't work as well today. So the delivery team that's working on this knows it's something they need to look into. We've been talking to a lot of clients using pre-check and finding out what the issues are. So we're always upgrading and updating our software, so I imagine there's going to be some changes to pre-check-in. Make sure your parents know about the pre-check-in. They're not just going to suddenly use it potentially, just propaganda, flyers in the office, send a broadcast message. Hey, we're going to make your life a little easier. You can check in over the portal. Tim's going to hand somebody a microphone. Thanks, Tim. Where'd Tim come from?
I had a question for people who use the pre-check-in. If you have a parent who, let's say, father is the billing account, and he is not to know mom's address or mom's phone number, how do you avoid that from happening?
I'm going to answer that question for everyone. Don't do it for them. This is not going to work for every single parent, family in your practice. If there's a situation where you're worried about security of other people, don't do it. Just don't give them access to the portal. Don't link a portal user to the billing account. That's the best way to do it. Okay? And we had this discussion internally recently. I was like, you don't have to have everyone use patient pre-check-in. If you have sticky family situations, just don't link anyone to the billing account as a portal user, and they can check in the old-fashioned way, and that's fine. So this is not going to work for 100% of your families. And we get that. But again, if it works for 20% of your families, that's fantastic. If it works for 80%, that's great. But it's never going to be 100%. So just don't think about, if you think there's an issue, don't do it. All right. Anything else about pre-check? I got to check my time. I've got 45 minutes. Got plenty of time. I think there's probably a session about pre-check-in this week, I assume. Yeah, Lee? Lee's doing it. When are you doing it, Lee? Tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m. Go to Lee's session about patient pre-check-in, and he'll tell you all the really cool things, because they are really cool things. I mean, new clients go live with pre-check-in. It's just, we don't even ask them. It's just like, you're going live with pre-check-in. That's awesome. Because it is. Take advantage of it. All right, billing prep. So I kind of touched on this earlier. Your front desk needs to know a little billing. I know that seems weird, but they do need to know a little billing to do the front desk job well, right? They should know basic information about your insurance plans. They definitely need, if you're seeing a lot of managed care, Medicaid plans, they need to know which ones you don't accept so they're not scheduling appointments for people that you shouldn't be seeing, okay? They should know the financial policy. If they don't know your financial policy, they're not going to be able to answer questions, okay? They should know it. And your financial policy should not be 10 pages long so nobody will know it, right? They should know how to find outstanding balances. It is so easy in the EHR for them to find out where an outstanding balance is from. If your front desk doesn't know how to do it, the billers need to train them on how to do it, okay? So when the parent says, what do you mean I owe $37.26? They can at least see that the insurance paid and that's probably their co-insurance, right? You shouldn't, while I like the billing staff being close to the front desk, your front desk should be able to answer some basic questions. If the parent then still argues, then you might have to call in a biller. All right, it's Slido time. Do you guys do a daily huddle? I have to see what slide I'm on. Holy crap, I'm behind. Lynne does this better than Captain Config, I guess. No. Oh, this is making me sad. We got 35. How many answers we got now? 40? That's good. All right. This does make me sad because I think huddles, daily huddles between the billing and the front desk are key. The billers help them know or understand. So if the front desk doesn't understand the balance, the billers can help the front desk understand why there's an outstanding balance. They can explain any insurance. Hey, this newborn's coming in today. We really need their insurance. If the parents don't have an insurance card, call me and I need to come up there and talk to them, okay? Or let me know and I'll go to the room to talk to them, right? Who is doing daily huddles? And I don't mean clinical, I mean, yes. What do you guys talk about, Pam?
We talk about outstanding balances, insurance, and a big thing for us is do we have all the records?
Oh, cool. So outstanding balances, insurance, and do we have the medical records because they're a startup practice and they're getting a lot of transferred records? Okay? That's great because you want those records before you see the patients. Okay? Oh, when do you guys do the huddle? Who's doing the huddle and when are you doing it? Because I think this is a concern of people's, like, when do we do a daily huddle if we're doing a huddle with the front desk? So when are you guys doing, if you're doing a huddle, when are you doing it? I heard 12:45, morning. Okay, so patients don't show up till 8:20, so they do it before then. Okay, this is not an hour meeting, okay? This is a huddle. It's meant to be 5 to 10 minutes long. 10 is a long huddle, okay? Unless you're seeing 150 patients a day, which some of our practices do, this should not be a long meeting. You should be able to talk about it before the appointment starts. Twice a week, that's awesome. If you can't do it daily, at least do it, okay? Start slow. Do it once a week. Review the appointments for next week. And as you start getting into the groove, okay, and keep the huddles on task. It's not to talk about what everyone did last night, okay? Talk about your patients, get it done, move on to your job, okay? And once you get in a groove, do it more often. Do it twice a week. Do it 3 times a week. My personal opinion, before they come in is good, and at the end of the morning is a really good time as well. Okay, because that's when it slows down, right? Once you get everyone checked in, your front desk got everyone checked in, the billers can come up and say, hey, let's talk about this afternoon and tomorrow, and get it taken care of. Cool. Oh man, we're going to skip that. We already talked about that. All right. We did a session a few years ago at PCC at our conference about a guide to educate their patients about insurance responsibility. If you have something like that, make sure your front desk staff knows. I know it's weird, but they really need to know more about the business, right? They need to know about how the industry works. If you have one, publish it on your website. You can ask for suggestions. You guys, how many acronyms are there in this freaking industry that has to do with insurance, right? I don't even know them all, and I don't do billing anymore because we have to get paid, and I don't want to know them all, but there's a lot out there. Your parents don't understand that. They get their EOB in the mail, and they don't know what's going on. Okay, so if you don't have something that's educating your patients, there are practices out there that have already created this, okay? That have a handout that tells them what all the different acronyms are. All right, so same-day visit, things happen the same, okay? You had same-day visit, you're scheduling. If you are scheduling a same-day appointment, please verify the phone number, okay? If you don't do it when you're scheduling appointments in the future, you should be doing it same day, because if that parent doesn't show up and you want to find out what's going on and you don't have an accurate phone number, you are SOL and you can't do it. All right, real-time eligibility. If you got it, remember, as soon as you schedule an appointment in PCC, same day, it sends out an eligibility request. You don't have to do anything, it's magical. But again, if you can't get eligibility for something, call. Make sure you're getting insurance eligibility. Is so key to make sure they have insurance, because if they don't and they leave your office and you find out it gets rejected, it's harder to collect that money, okay? All right, ooh, we're at the day, woohoo. So they're here. Why do we check them in? You guys, hopefully you know this. I feel like this is the only thing I truly read from. Financial problems can be directly related to billing errors that could have been avoided simply by reviewing information. Errors can cost delayed payment, costly fines, and lost revenue if not caught. I used to talk to Justin, who's on the Get Paid team, and I'm like, what's the #1 rejection? Because we know, because we submit all your claims. #1 rejection is demographics. Who's updating demographics? Your front desk, okay? So making sure they're doing this front desk check-in. And again, if they're answering phones, it's hard to focus on one thing if you're being pulled in 2 different directions. All right, how you guys checking in patients? I'm like my sneakers coming too untied. Remember, I got up to 40 before. I don't get up to 40 this time. All right, we're at 35. I'll leave my water up here. Okay, so the majority of you are still using your front desk. That's fine. Those of you that are using pre-check-in, yes. Ooh, up to 42. What? I didn't hear you. Someone's got a mic. Tim, it's Linda in the back corner. At least I think it was Linda in the back corner. Isn't it scary? I know some of their names.
So pre-check-in does not eliminate the need for the front desk.
No.
Because when they're verifying and there's a change, you'd be surprised at how many people don't realize they made the change and it wasn't accurate. So we still have to verify when they come in.
I've never said you need to get rid of the front desk.
You're right, you didn't.
I will say, though.
So this is a kind of a trick question because we use both.
That's great. And I'm not saying you shouldn't. I mean, you still, when you get the information, when you do pre-check-in, it tells you what they sent you. Okay, so you can quickly say, hey, it looks like you did pre-check-in. You can verify it again if you want. What I did say yesterday, though, I'm not going to lie. I said this in one of the sessions. If you're using pre-check-in and it's working really well, and let's say you have 2 front desk people and one of them leaves and your pre-check-in's working really well, do you need to rehire? That's up to you guys to decide. But if you get your parents using something, and I'm not saying fire the front desk, I love the front desk. But maybe pre-check-in means you don't have to freak out if somebody leaves the front desk. Yes?
But the pre-check-in doesn't actually check in the patient.
No. No, it doesn't. So you still have to hit the button. But hitting the button is very much different than having to edit and update all the information. It's not hitting the button that takes a long time. It's getting the new information into the system that takes a while. Yeah. And again, I'm not saying you have to fire your front desk. I actually heard someone at PCC say that. So like, if we can automate more things, then they don't need a front desk. And I'm like, I don't think that's the right answer, but you might be able to not have as much front desk. And again, depends on the size of your practice. Pam's like, I only have one person at my front desk. I gotta have them, right? Okay, so, all right, nobody calls. We went to, I swear in the past year, we've gone to a go live where the client called them still. And we have offices where they call them ahead of time to check them in, like for the afternoon. Yeah.
I'm going to say, we still do go out late at time of visit.
Oh, yeah.
But
No.
yeah, my office still ends up doing like the calls
Yes.
day in advance to the visits
Right.
to check in about the insurance and the
Right.
balances
So you're
and all that.
verifying everything before.
Beforehand, verbally
Via
over
phone.
the phone.
Yeah.
And if they don't pick up a voicemail,
Yep.
just call back the office to verify your demographics.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so here we go. We need to check them in. You'll notice the cool little, this is pre-check-in. Green means that you guys have verified and imported it or ignored it. The orange means they did it. If you guys haven't used pre-check-in before, the orange means it's waiting for you guys to verify and import or deny. Okay? If you haven't seen it, you don't know that. Okay, so you guys know this. Your check-in is like the medical summary. You guys determine what order things go in. You guys determine what you want in the patient check-in. If you don't know how to do this, talk to your client advocate. It's under the protocol configuration tool. The order, it changes. I've changed it. This is not the same screen I had last year because I changed it because of pre-check-in. Okay? But make sure that it works for your front desk. If you're the office manager and you want them to do it a certain way, make sure it's actually what they're doing. And if it's not, you need to retrain them to verify the information in the order you're doing it. You don't want them to have to jump back and forth. I see staff do that all the time where they're jumping back and forth in patient check-in because they're used to doing things in a certain order. Okay? Also, I've also seen clients who don't even use patient check-in. They just go into demographics and update it. I'm like, use check-in. All right. This has not changed, I swear. Has anything changed? Front desks are still saying this. Okay, somebody walks up and you're checking them in. It's not, has anything's changed? You have to be more specific. And I get parents, wow. I have clients that are still saying, is blah, blah, blah your address? Is blah, blah, blah your phone number? You know, put it on them. What's your current address? Okay, what's the best phone number to reach you at? If they want to yell their address and phone number loud enough for everybody to hear, that's on them. And you're not stating any PHI. You're not doing anything. You're just asking them to give you verified information. You then say, okay, we got that, we're good. Okay? Do you prefer emails, texts, or both? Kate added that to my slide presentation a few years ago, and I'm not sure why. And I haven't taken it out. I thought I took it out this year. Anyway, that's for like notifications. Do you want emails, texts, or both? All right. When are you guys adding portal users? Those of you that are using the portal, which is the majority of you. That's 5 answers. Yes. I'm going to let you guess which one's my favorite. Has everyone here ever added, has anyone in here not added a portal user? So you've all done it, right? It's easy, right? Pretty easy. It really should be every chance you get. Okay? So if you haven't answered, I'm just still going to say, It shouldn't be limited to check-in. If the check-in's busy and they don't get to it, and somebody's bringing them to the back room, and they're reviewing stuff, I'm like, oh, looks like you don't have a portal account. Let's set you up so you can get your visit summary after we're done here today. Or so you can look at the growth chart, or so you can get your immunization record, your vaccine record. Anyone can add a portal user. Providers can add portal users. I've seen them do it. If you're not on the portal, if they're not on the portal, you can't communicate with them, okay? If they're on the portal and they don't want to communicate with you, that's different, but that's at least they're having an option. If you don't add them as a portal user, they can't communicate with you via the portal. So everyone in your office needs to be trained on how to add a portal user properly. I'm going to tell you now, for training new clients, we recommend cell phone numbers. We don't even tell them to do email. Just type in their cell phone number and add them as a portal user. Because then they get a text instantly, and then you can say, oh, look, I heard you just got a text. Go ahead and click on that link and you can log in, okay? Because it can happen it happens that quickly. They get the text almost instantaneously and they can log in. And then they can change their password. Then they don't hopefully forget their password, but they can change it. All right, this is the billing, this is the whole pre-check-in. Make sure your portal user is linked to the billing account, okay? This is the tricky one, okay? The billing account may not be who would normally do the patient check-in, okay? So you have to determine, is this a good idea or not? Basically what happens is the portal user's name will match the account's name. So if you put in mom as the portal user but link it to the billing account and the billing account is dad, the portal user now has dad's name, okay? If you don't care, if the parent doesn't care, who cares, right? At this time, you don't split what? So splitting home and billing, that's entirely up to practice. So we have old school practices that do it the way we taught it 30 years ago. And then we have newer clients that don't necessarily do it that same way. But if you have, we used to train John and Mary Canning, right? Both parents in the first name field, okay? And when you do that and you link a portal user, it becomes John and Mary Canning is the portal user's name. Even if it's mom's email or mom's phone number, it's going to show both of their names. And I don't know how upset parents get about that, but that's what happens. And that's why we recommend you have one account, one parent as the billing account and the other parent either as a home account or a personal contact. And the thing with the personal contacts is you can't use personal contacts on form letters. And I know some people don't want to use it because of that. All right, manage the rest of your portal users. You're not limited to one portal user, right? Add both parents. Add the kid if it's an older kid, right? Policies, verify the policies. Don't just look at the name, look at the copay. Look at the policy. Has anything changed? Is the relationship still accurate? I get people scan in cards and hand it back to the parent at the front desk. I'm like, time out. Especially the beginning of the year, right? Beginning of the year, they may have Cigna, but maybe their ID number changed because they're on a different insurance. They're working at a different company, okay? So be aware, just because they're on Cigna still doesn't mean the ID number hasn't changed. I remember when Blue Cross Blue Shield changed our ID numbers, totally freaked me out. I'm like, whoa, because it had been the same ID number forever. All right, personal balances, it's in red. It's the only number in red at check-in, okay? Personal balances, train your staff to look for red. If there's red, they owe you money. If they owe you money, they should be collecting money, right? And if they don't know what it is, you click on this little flippy triangle. That's good thing Michael's not here. Michael would be saying, that's the disclosure triangle, Lynn. We call it the flippy triangle because it's more fun. If you click on the flippy triangle, you get exactly what that fee is from. Why do they have a balance? Because they had a forms fee that they didn't pay. Okay, first you got to talk to your front desk. Why didn't you collect the forms fee? Right? But when you click on that little flippy triangle, you're going to see exactly where that money is from. And that's what your front desk needs to know. They need to know that if there's a red number and the parents question it, click on the flippy triangle and you'll find out where it's from. Time of service payments. Again, you're going to see the expected copay and the personal balance. Keep in mind, the expected copay is there whether or not, it doesn't matter what their visit reason is. It always says what their expected copay is. Your front desk has to do some thinking and realize, oh, that's a well visit. I shouldn't collect money. Okay? Because again, copays are linked to CPT codes. We don't know the CPT code when we're checking in a patient. So we have to do our best guess scenario. If it's a sick visit, we're obviously collecting. If it's a well visit, we'll wait till they come out. If it got changed to a sick, that's when we're going to collect our money. You put in the amount, you hit the save payment. It's amazing. Copays, we just talked about that. Collecting money, I still hear practices at the front desk, and I don't hang out at the front desk much anymore because I've been doing clinical. Do you want to pay your copay today? Like it's an option? Okay. Your front desk needs to be trained. It's not an option. Set an expectation. How will you be paying for your copay today? How will you be paying for your personal balance today? Okay. Oh, I can't pay $300 today. How much are you going to pay? Okay, set the expectation. And it takes training. If your front desk staff especially is not comfortable doing that, it will take them a while. You need to get them comfortable. Again, that front desk person needs to be comfortable asking for money because that's an important part of their job. The more money you get at the front desk, the less your billers have to deal with. And we know collecting personal balances is a giant pain in the you-know-what, right? Ask PEDS 1, they'll tell you. Ask any of the billing services. All right, high deductible health plans. People with huge deductibles. Are people collecting money up front? I don't think I have a Slido for this. I should. Wait, let me go. I do. That's credit card on file. So if you are collecting money up front, and I'm seeing more and more clients doing this, new clients doing this, where they are collecting money. If somebody has a high deductible health plan, they are collecting probably a little more than what they're probably going to have left as a co-insurance. But again, it's easier to give back money than it is to collect money. So if you collect $100 for a well visit, or a sick visit, and it comes back that it goes to personal responsibility for $92.35, okay, you got your $92.35 and you can write them a check for the rest, okay? Or it goes against their next copay if their frequent flyers are always in your office. So if you're not collecting money, I hope you're doing a credit card on file. So you guys know CCOF, credit card on file. Who's got a policy for that? This number has been going up each year. We talk about it. I love how one person responding changes the numbers drastically. Sort of. Sort of is totally valid because there are instances where you might be doing it for some people and not others. All right, what do we got? 32. Come on, we got up to 40 earlier. Everyone's like, oh, sort of's okay, I'll do that. All right. I was about to talk and then, oh, we're up to 41. Okay. I'm glad nobody says, does that really work? Because it works, right? For those of you doing it, it's working, right? So the way I've seen the credit card on file work is a couple ways. Some people will say, when we get your insurance and there's personal responsibility, we'll send you a message and let you know we're going to charge your credit card in a couple days. Okay, I've seen people doing that. I've seen some people say, when we get your personal responsibility, we're just going to charge your credit card. Okay, is that pretty much what people are doing that are doing credit card on file? Okay, people not doing credit card on file? Now I understand if you're high Medicaid, it makes no sense, right? So for those of you guys that have practices that are high Medicaid, but who isn't doing it? That's not a high Medicaid practice, and why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you doing it, Pam? I don't know. You don't know why you're not doing it. Okay. So, I mean, you do have to do some setup. You have to make sure they sign up paperwork. You need to get their credit card on file. You need to store it someplace securely, which is not PCC. Wow, that button went crazy. So, there we go. You have to get authorization. Should be part of your financial policy. Some people is anyone just doing it for people with a high deductible health plan? That's the only people they require it for? Or you do it for everyone? Is it required? So you can require everyone to do it. But you need to, it's a part of your financial policy. So you can't just say, hey, we started this today. You need to update your financial policy, and you need to get parents to start signing to it and agreeing to it. And if you have any sort of questions, reach out to PCC community, because our clients like helping other clients, right? You guys answer PCC community. And yeah, don't store your credit card in a file cabinet or in our system. We are not a banking system. I had a client scanning in authorization papers with numbers into the EHR. I'm like, that is not secure. Go and delete all those and put them in a secure system. Your bank, if you're doing your credit card and file through your banking system, your bank will have a place for you to store your credit cards, right? If you use like any merchant services, should give you a place to store credit cards and charge those credit cards. Just don't store them in a file cabinet. I don't care if it has a lock. And for sure, don't scan them into the EHR. It's so not cool. All right, copays. If your front desk isn't tracking copays, why? They need to track it. They need to tell you why. So when you're running a report to see how well they collected copays last week, if they didn't collect all their copays, if they're not at 100%, why didn't you collect this copay? They need to write down why they're not collecting copays. And the reason is not to say, oh my God, you're a horrible person, you didn't collect a copay. It's to find out why your parents aren't paying and how your staff can counteract. Okay? Parent said this. Well, this is what your response should have been. Okay? Because the front desk doesn't just know. Yes? Oh, they forgot their wallet. So you got the portal, get them on the portal and tell them to do it on the portal. They can store credit cards on the portal, by the way. Did you guys know that? Yeah, they can store their credit cards in the portal. It gets stored in the merchant services account, doesn't get stored at PCC. So get them to, I'm like, hey, then you need to be on the portal and you need to add your credit card there, and then you can do it without having your wallet. Yeah, there's always a good response to the parent, but yeah, you gotta find out why they're not doing it and figure out how you can respond to them and make sure your front desk is comfortable with that response. You're not gonna collect, I'd like to say you're gonna collect 100% of your copays, but that's not reality. You're not gonna collect 100%, but you wanna make sure. Billing fee, we have some people that charge a billing fee. Now this is state, there's state implications here on doing billing fees, so make sure this is legal in your state. Some people say, hey, yeah, we're gonna have to charge you $50 because you didn't pay your copay. But if you pay us within 24 hours, we'll waive that fee. Financial policy, gotta go in the financial policy. You just can't make it up on the fly. And you need to be consistent, okay? So doctor can't have special parent that they don't wanna do it for, okay? Copays are required. You can't waive copays. Well, let me restate that. You can't waive copays. I've had people say they don't need to pay a copay. Guess what? Yes, they do. It's their agreement. It is illegal unless you have it in your financial policy that there's a hardship and you have to do a specific policy about what the hardship is. So anyone that meets that hardship, everyone gets their balances waived, not just special people. Professional courtesy is not legal. Okay, unless it's in your financial policy and you do it for everyone in that profession. Professional courtesy also doesn't pay for pediatricians because the specialists don't give it back. Anyone that does professional courtesy, don't tell me. All right, so we're checking them out. What do? Schedule the next appointment, okay? I have this here. You know where my favorite place is for people to schedule their next appointment? At check-in. Why? because the kid hasn't had the shot yet and they're not screaming. Okay? Schedule their next appointment at check-in. And if it's a newborn, schedule their next year's appointment at check-in. Okay? First time they come in, say, hey, we're just going to schedule your first year's appointments. If you need to change it, just let us know, but here you go. Boom. Yes, we have clients that do it. I'm not making it up. Missed appointments. What are you guys doing for missed appointments? Who gets proactive with missed appointments and calls and says, hey, what's up? Yeah, do it. If you're not doing that, they missed an appointment, what's going on? Do they have transportation issues, right? Is there something that you're going to know? Do you need to flag them as somebody that needs, you know, those extra phone calls for appointment verification? Okay, find out why they missed the appointment. And if there's consistent issues with a bunch of parents why they're missing appointments, maybe there's someplace you can reach out to get them help, like for transportation. Make sure all the visits have been checked in or marked as missed. You shouldn't have people just sitting there in a limbo situation. Although some people don't mark patients as missed until the next day, that's fine. But you shouldn't have somebody that says scheduled 3 days later, okay? Something's up with that appointment, mark it as missed, take care of it. Proving out, okay, oh, I'm talking about stuff too much. How many people have their schedule out for a year? Yes. I'm going to keep preaching. 13 months, okay? At least a year, 13 months. If a dentist can do it every 6 months, you guys can do it every year. It's, again, like collecting money is easier if you ask them. Getting them in for an appointment is easier if you already have an appointment, okay? When they get their appointment reminder, and key here is you don't give them an appointment reminder 2 days before their well physical that they scheduled a year ago. You give them a reminder a month before the appointment so they have time to reschedule, okay? So if you're going to schedule further out, you need to make sure your reminders are going out a little further, okay? Your front desk should know the well visit schedule. They should know when the kids are coming in. And that's going to be harder with the new people because, you know, I hate putting it's a little piece of paper on their desk. Okay, I don't want it on the window. Little piece of paper on the desk. It's a very short list, right? Your newborn, if you do a 1 month, 2 month, right? 4, 6, 9, 12, 15. It's a limited number. Make sure they know it. And make sure they're scheduling that follow-up appointment. Again, it's easier to get them to come back in if they actually have an appointment. Okay, and they should focus on scheduling well visits. That's where you make the most of your money, right? Well visits pay more. Tim will tell you, right, Tim? Well visits pay more? Tim's nodding for me. Thanks, Tim. They need to schedule those well visits. If you're not doing it at check-in, do it at checkout. Okay? They need to know where to find the next physical date. If somebody calls for a sick visit, what's the first thing one of the first things they should be doing is saying, oh, are you up to date on your checkups? Should we also schedule a well visit while we're here? Okay? So you don't just schedule it when they ask for it. Your front desk should be prompting because well visits are important. If they're coming in for a sick visit and they're overdue, it's right, oops, hit the wrong button there. It's right there on recent and upcoming appointments. That appears a lot of places. It's also, that'll appear in check-in. It also, in the drop-down, this drop-down right here, you hit this little flippy triangle and it tells you when their next physical due date is. Okay? So teach your front desk where to find that information, because if they're overdue for their physical, even if they're scheduling a sick visit, they should attempt to schedule a well visit as well. All right, tracking missed appointments. I have this missed appointment fee, but again, doesn't keep people from missing appointments, and if you're high Medicaid, you can't charge a missed appointment fee, right? This is if you have chronic no-shows, call them. Give them that personal attention to remind them they have a visit. If you have missed appointments fees, though, again, financial policy, and does someone schedule? Does someone call them? Okay, you missed your appointment. Is little Johnny okay now? What's going on? Do you still need to come in? Do we need to reschedule? Especially if they missed a well visit. You want to reschedule that well visit. Don't just leave it out there as a missed appointment. Be proactive. Like, how much time do I got left? 10 minutes. All right, make sure everyone's been checked in. Let's talk about proving out. Everyone's doing this, right? The front desk is doing it. Does somebody have the front desk that doesn't do it? You guys all have your front desk doing it? Okay, because every once in a while I go up, again, you go to a new client and it's like, oh, the billers do this. And I'm like, not anymore. Because the front desk takes the money. The front desk should reconcile, right? If you're still old school, going into partner and running that old deposit report, there is a payment reconciliation report in the EHR you should be using. Anyone want to fess up to still using partner reports for this? Linda proudly shoots her hand up in the air. We're doing it. So your front desk, if they're new kids, partner's going to scare the crap out of them, right? Practice management's scary. So if you get new front desk staff, use that payment reconciliation, keeps them in the EHR. My job is to make sure the front desk doesn't have to go into practice management for new clients. I don't want them in there, it's scary. Use this one. You can run it by user, you can customize it, you can save it, you can schedule it. Scheduling it makes no sense, but you could. And it's got to match. So they don't just run the report and say, here you go, I ran my report. They got to count the money, count the checks, not that anyone pays by check anymore, I feel, count their credit cards, and verify it matches what's in the system. If it doesn't, guess what they need to do? Fix it. Your biller's not fixing it. They don't learn if your biller fixes things for them or if the office manager fixes things for them. You know, you can delete payments in the EHR now, right? So if they make a mistake, I don't have to bring them into OOPS anymore. I just bring into the payment program if they have access, and we give them access if they don't, and say, here's how you're going to delete that wrong payment and add the correct one. Or here's what you missed, and it's always fun if people have never done a reconciliation, explaining to them how they have to compare these pieces of paper one by one to this report to find which one they forgot, okay? But it's a learning experience, and they make less mistakes if they have to figure out and fix their own. All right. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Dun-dun. Everyone should have their own money drawer. Shouldn't be saving things together. Otherwise, you don't know who makes the mistake. The client who the last story is about is not here, so I can always use it. Had a client. They would actually have their little bag with money right, let's say I'm at check-in. It was right here. Okay? Make sure it's in a secure, at least make it difficult for me to reach over. I am Captain Config though, so I might be able to jump over easily. But don't leave it someplace where you can easily, the parents can easily get to. Keeping, thanks Jerry. Dude, I am so on target. I'm telling you. Keep them busy. There's always downtime at the front desk, except when you first go live and you have to fix a lot of stuff. So new clients, there's not necessarily downtime, but I've never been to an existing practice where there's not a little downtime at the front desk, okay? After you check everyone in the morning, and after you check everyone in the afternoon, okay? That's when it slows down for the front desk. Make sure they have things to do, okay? Recall lists. Yes, you can automate it, but maybe they use send text to send specific text to people. If you guys aren't using snap text and send text together, figure out how to do that. If you're like, oh, I want to send a text to people. If you type in the same phrase more than 2 times a day, create a snap text for it, okay? Because if you're typing it in 2 times a day, it means you're typing it in twice today, tomorrow, the next day. And if you have a snap text, you're saving yourself time, and you're not making typos, unless your snap text has a typo, but you can fix that. I absolutely love snap text. So you can use snap text to send a send text reminder, say, hey, looks like you're overdue for your ADHD visit, checkup. Come in, call us. Incentivize projects and great performance. John Kenny and I will argue about this all the time. He doesn't feel people should be incentivized. You should just be paying them well. And I'm like, that's great, John, but some people do work better if you incentivize them, hey, you guys, you're doing your reports, your copays, you're collecting 80%. You guys get up to 90% and copay collection, and we're gonna do lunch. We're gonna all go to a movie. We're all gonna do something, okay? So I'm not opposed to incentivizing people if it means that they do better at their job, okay? And if incentivizing doesn't work with someone, monetary is that a word? If monetary rewards don't work, find out what works. Is it just recognition? You have a big practice meeting and you say, hey, you guys, front desk, kicked it. Last month, they collected 95% of the copays and outstanding balances. Maybe they just want to be recognized for their good work. All right, oversight. All the things you're going to track. Hold on a second. Nope. I actually have to talk about each of those. Track how much recall they're doing. So if you're having them do recall, I have a practice, I don't think Leo's in here, practice that they used to print out recall lists and hand it to the front desk. And the front desk was responsible for calling those parents and scheduling it. And when they finished out a sheet, they would hand it back to the practice administrator and he would give them a gift card. And they would literally go through the recall lists and get those well visits in, okay? Copay collection rates. This is not in the EHR. You have to go to partner, but there's a copay collection report which will tell you got to run it really quick. So on Monday morning, run it for the previous week, and you will see how well your staff is doing at collecting copays and past due balances. It's in, if you go to your menu, for newer clients, it's like in the weekly reports menu. For older clients, you got to go to SRS. And Tim, do you know which one it's off the top? Billing reports, and it's copay collection ratio report, and it'll tell you what percentage they're at. And that's what I'm saying. If you're seeing, run it for a couple months to see how they're doing. I've had clients do this for a couple months to see which one of their front desk staff is not collecting well, because the numbers would change based on who was working the front desk. Okay, so you could do that if you have different people working at the front desk. You can check it for different days. Collections for past due balances, how well are they paying that? Phone notes and patient portal, that's a tricky, but you can see how quickly they're responding to phone notes that are for them. So if you have phone notes that are for the front desk, portals, so if you guys are using portal template messages, how many of you have things going to the front desk directly? Are they answering those in a timely manner? Okay, things you want to just check. And then there's the goals again. I'm a big fan of saying, okay, you're at this percentage, let's get you at a higher percentage. Their goals should always be increasing. They should be striving for perfection, knowing they will never reach it because perfection is a myth, okay? You can't do 100% of the time. But if they can be consistent in what they're collecting, not only that, but how many rejections happen because they're not updating information at the front desk? That's stuff that your biller should know, right? Don't just say, oh, I think they're doing this. You need to get concrete data so you can work with them. And if your front desk isn't doing something well, that means they need more training. All right, so quick review. We got 3 minutes to spare. You get the goals, you get customer service, you get the telephones. We talked about all this. Here's my reference. Questions. Does anyone have any other questions? Oh, I love taking good. Nothing on the chat? Sweet. It's because nobody's there. They all left. They said Captain Config sucks. Yes, question.
This might be more of a wish than a question, but just one of the things with the portal, people want it to be an app that they can just click on. And I know, at least for my Apple phone, I did the process to make it look like an app.
Yes.
Can Doug make like a really nice video or something showing parents how to do that? Or maybe for like Android phones? Because I think it would just be easier process if they had it look like all their other apps.
You know, instead of Douglas, we can ask Althea to do that for us because it would help ensure success. Sure would. So somebody on my group should write that down and we can see about creating a video. Jerry says he's got it. So that's a great idea. And if you guys have other ideas, because if anyone uses that portal we have a portal thing on our learn.pcc.com for the parents, but it is really out of date. And it would be cool if we got that updated as well, because your parents, yeah, they sometimes, and it is technically an app. It's called a smart app because it's a web page.
She stole my question.
She stole your question?
Yeah. Our front desk, we gave them the painstaking task of figuring out how to walk the patients through if they have an Apple and an Android. So we've done all that, and we actually have it posted when they walk in.
Nice.
Because that's the biggest thing in our office, just trying to get them on the portal. Once they get on the portal, they love it. But then they're like, oh, I've lost that link. And so now we train our front desk to say, give them a few minutes and actually show them. So we don't let them go back or walk out of our office without getting on that portal.
I agree. The sooner you can get them log into that portal, the more likely they are to use it. The other thing is, again, snap text and a portal message.
Exactly.
Send them a snap text with a portal message saying, this is how you're going to save it to your phone.
Yes.
So yeah, the video would be cool, but until we do that, create a snap text that your front desk can send that will teach them how to do it, or have something in the office.
And we're doing better also too with the Chattis forms because of them being on the portal. So it's nice, they come in, you see details already in PCC. It's like, oh my God, this is great. So we're getting them in a lot faster because of that.
Oh God, yeah. If they don't do their Chattis forms ahead of time, it's a nightmare because you're going to run behind.